And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. And today we're talking about Star Trek Discovery's penultimate episode for season 2. Did you know that word, penultimate?
Yes,
I
I
love that.
did.
Good. I love that word. It's like
When
such
you
a cool
watch a
word.
lot of TV and you get two-parters, pentultimate, yeah, or penultimate.
Yeah. Or I don't know how to say it right. I don't know. I've only heard it as penultimate.
You
And
said it right the
you
first time.
and you can only use it when it's the episode before the last one. So it can only be used a few times. So that's exciting. And today we're joined by PJ. Hello, PJ. Welcome back.
Hello.
And also a newbie to the channel, a brand new member of the Starfleet Boy regulars. It's Braxton. Hello.
Hey, greetings
Welcome,
from sunny
welcome.
Baltimore.
Oh, you're in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's where John Waters lives. That's the only thing I know about Baltimore and the song Baltimore,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
John Walters loves to go to this bar called the Club Charles that I live right around the corner from. And I also really like to go to his Christmas show that he puts on downtown at, holiday season. I love
That's
John Walters
amazing.
or
So
John
you've met
Waters.
John Waters. Yeah. So you've
John
met
Waters.
John Waters and like you've like interacted with him?
Yes.
OMG. That's pretty
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, he is a very nice man. He's very funny, super quick-witted. Yeah, he's awesome.
For those of you who don't know who John Waters is, I would normally say pause our show and go watch it, but not today because we're just too excited. You got to just watch our show. All right. So, Braxton, do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and like I guess your Star Trek story, which is it's like a tradition on Starfleet Boy.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
So yeah. So I started watching Star Trek when I was a tween. My dad watched TNG. My dad is a engineer, and he I tell people this story kind of like as a representation thing and why it matters. So my father's an engineer, and he started watching TNG because Geordie was an engineer. He didn't watch Star Trek before, but he started watching this. He was like, "Oh, there's this black engineer like in the future. Let me watch this too." So Star Trek came into my life because of that, and then I watched the shows after. I got into Voyager, and then like later in my adult life, I like watched Deep Space Nine. I tried to watch Enterprise, and now I'm watching this. I like the movies too.
I like that you tried to watch Enterprise. So what's your favorite Star Trek series?
I have a tough time deciding between Voyager and Deep Space Nine. So I love Data from TNG, but I especially uh, identify with Janeway, and I love Seven of Nine. I like Belana Torres. I really, really like Cisco. Um,
Yeah, the Cisco.
mhm.
Do you know about my other show, Drunk Space Nine?
No, I don't.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
Oh, and I
Well, it's
also really love Kira as well. Yeah, Kira's
cool.
badass. Odo
Well,
too.
just Google Drunk Space Nine. Unfortunately, you can't see we did 50 episodes. I had a co-host who's a friend of mine. I don't know what happened, but I took over. Like we had a fight. The show ended. I took it over, and now there's a new show. So it's a long story, but Drug Space Nine is you got to check it out. All right. Well, I'm so happy that you want to be on our show, and welcome, and I hope you come on many more episodes. I'm going to hand the show over to PJ because I'm very excited. PJ, go ahead. Feel free to do the summary.
All right. Well, I had to write it down because last
Yes.
time I tried to do it from memory. All right. So, Such Sweet Sorrow. It's the 13th episode and first part of a two-part finale. And it opens with Sarek, and he's meditating on a beach where he senses something, dire about Michael Burnham. And then you go on board the Discovery, and they are preparing to transfer the crew over to the Enterprise. Control is on the move, and it's gaining quickly. And they infiltrated the subspace radio relay, so they can't call Starfleet for backup. Burnham is preparing to leave with the time crystal when Pike urges her to hurry up, and she expresses doubts about the current course of action. Pike leaves, assuming Burnham is going to follow, but when she's alone, she deactivates the cage surrounding the time crystal and touches it, seeing a devastating near future vision of, I guess, the battle that's about to happen. Pike and Saru walk onto the Enterprise, meeting up with Burnham. They walk onto the turbo lift, which looks great, and then onto the Enterprise bridge.
The whole Enterprise looked great. Sorry, go on.
The whole thing was really impressive. We'll get into that, I guess. So
yes, we definitely will.
And Admiral Cornwell is there in number 1, who she assures Pike that they'll never have holographic communication ever again.
Woo!
Ever.
The
emphasis when she said that line really stuck out to me. Ever.
And yeah, Giorgio arrives, and she scoffs at the look of the bridge and how the orange colors on the bridge.
That's because she's from an alternate timeline, whatever.
He's like, orange.
This is too nice looking and colorful. Burnham has another vision of the upcoming battle. Leland boards the Discovery in this vision and executes everyone on the bridge. It's a very violent scene, and he kills everyone, including Burnham. And when she snaps out of it, she suggests that they use the time crystal to take Discovery to the future. So they plan to build a new time suit, which they never show in this entire episode. But anyway, and have Burnham guide Discovery through a wormhole into the future. Then Spock surmises that Burnham is responsible for the red signals. And then Enterprise detects another signal over Zahia. So they return to Discovery to jump there, with Enterprise following at warp. There's a scene somewhere where Culber and Stamets have a heartfelt talk. Then Poe, I gotta scroll up here. I took a lot of notes.
I'm glad.
Poe boards the ship and says that she can use her dilithium incubator to charge the crystal, combining it with dark energy to replicate the power of a supernova.
And the spore drive.
Yeah, with the spore drive. And then it's pointed out that Burnham can take the Discovery into the future, but the crystal would have burned out and she can't return. So, Poe decides to stay on the ship, by the way. Sarek and Amanda arrive, and they say their goodbyes to Burnham. Burnham watches a video of her mother's tutorial for how to use the suit properly, which I think was pretty cool. And then she finds out that the bridge crew and some others have decided to stay with her. Then her and Tyler embrace and say their goodbyes. Tyler's not coming with her. There's a touching scene of Saru, Tilly, Oishikun, Detmer, and Stamets saying their goodbyes to their relatives.
And Reno. Oh, wait, sorry.
No, I don't think Reno was in that. No.
That was the other scene, the other touching scene. There's a lot of touching scenes.
Yeah. I didn't get it wrong.
Sorry, go on.
Pike pretty much gives the captain's chair to Saru, but Saru is weirdly reluctant and almost implies that maybe Michael Burnham deserves it instead. I don't know if I read that wrong. But he gives a touching speech before departing. It's very nice, very well written, gives you the feels. The cage over the crystal, this is the scene with Reno and Tilly and Stamets, I believe. They talk about how the cage over the crystal is slowing down the charge. So Jet says, "Get out. I'll take the risk and remove the cage around the crystal." And she has the same vision that Michael Burnham had of death and destruction in a battle with, I assume, his Control. So anyway, Control shows up, and the Enterprise and Discovery must hold him off, and it's like prepare for battle, and that's the cliffhanger. Great episode.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well done.
Well done. should we start with the nitpick corner, or should we go? Do you have any nitpicks for this episode?
Me?
Yes.
None that I can think of, because I was just so engaged in how just great it was minute to minute. I'm liking the time crystal stuff a little bit more because they're being a little more scientific with it. It's very complicated what they're trying to do, and they explain a lot of it very coherently, in my opinion. So I'll probably think of some nitpicks, but goddamn, just seeing that Enterprise, and the bridge and the turbo lifts, and just this great reimagining and the touching moments between everybody, and it's just so well written and well directed. It is the best episode of Discovery yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with that.
I'm almost at a loss for thinking about nitpicks at this very moment. So
that's cool. Braxton, do you have any nitpicks? I want to get the nitpicks out of the way first, and then we'll go right into like the love fest, I guess.
Okay.
And I think it's a huge testament, by the way, PJ, that you have no nitpicks right now. It's kind of
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yes, that's awesome.
So how was the Discovery like an hour behind? How was the Enterprise an hour behind the Discovery? Because it seemed
because they jumped to Zahia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, all these episodes are really dense, so I don't blame you for not catching that. But
I totally forgot that they jumped. Yeah, so it's not really a nitpick, but this episode was just so high on drama. Just being like, oh, like, Michael, you're the best. Like, you're so selfless. Like, you're so amazing. When she walked away from gosh, who's
Ash?
From Ash, and you totally knew that she was gonna run back. I thought that was hilarious. But no, I don't really have any nitpicks besides it was just like so sappy and like the drama's like goodness gracious.
I did think the melodrama was a little bit cheesy, but I actually enjoyed it. Like I actually found myself getting watery eyed and all that stuff.
I thought it was perfect.
I thought the one nitpick I have didn't happen during my watching of the episode. It happened during your submarine. It was like when they're trying to figure out like why the crystal isn't charging fast enough. Like, where did the Queen of Zahia go? Like, why couldn't she help? She's supposed to be like an engineering genius. So like, why didn't she come up with that?
She gave them the tools to charge it, and
she built the cool crystal device.
And like she's with Tilly and hanging out with her. But the thing about it's not charging fast enough for two reasons. That thing that what's her name, Poe built, is kind of simulating the power of a supernova, but not really like doing it as fast as like an actual supernova would. And the cage, like they say, that cage around it is impeding the charge. So removing that can make a huge difference.
Basically,
but it's dangerous to do so.
It's a force field, though, right?
It's like plutonium. Like you can't.
I guess that makes sense. I thought it was interesting. Like we saw the raw crystal in the previous episode, which was green and like looked kind of looked like a traditional crystal, and then like this is something they've refined now, and it looks a lot like the crystal that you see earlier that's on the back of the time suit and things like that. Cool. All right, so nitpick corner was pretty easy. That's pretty cool. All right, what did you love? What was your favorite part of the episode? We'll let Braxton start since he's our new guest. So what was the absolute best thing about the episode?
What did I love about the episode? One thing that I really liked about the episode was the interaction between Stamets.
I don't want liked. I want love. I want what you loved about it.
That's maybe I have to watch it again. I don't know if I loved it because to me it just seemed like this episode was all about setup for the big finale where they're going to spend all the money and all the plot lines are going to be wrapped up. So for this one, like, I don't know, like, they just advanced their story. They said all the goodbyes. It was all the melodrama. But I was going to say that I really enjoyed Culber and Stamets. Like, there was a shot where you were Culber had his hands down, and it seemed like he was trying to like figure out what to do with them. Like, did he want to
Like
like
you wanted to hug
shake his
Stamets. Like
hands? Did he
yeah,
want
it's
to
true.
hug him? Like, he's like, oh, I want to do something with my hands, but like I'm just gonna like hold them here, you
Yeah,
know?
it was a really cool shot. That's true.
Yeah. Um, oh, I think that I also really so I enjoyed some of the ship shots, you know. I enjoyed the shot where like the Discovery and the Enterprise met up and like Discovery like it did like a little flip
Yeah, it
around
was cool.
the Enterprise. I thought that was cool. And I also thought it was cool when Michael grabbed the time stone. She was like, should I do it? And then she was like, yeah, she's like, seeing all this stuff. Like, yeah, I thought that was very cool.
What about you, PJ? I already know your answer because it's probably the same as mine.
The Enterprise.
Yes. Braxton, did you not go crazy for the Did you not go nuts for the Enterprise at all? Like, well, so you said you love TNG, right? Like TNG, DS9, Voyager, right?
Mhm.
How familiar are you with TOS though?
So I have watched it on reruns. I haven't really sat down
Uh,
to like watch it on Netflix and like seriously watch
okay, well, we're gonna excuse you and give you a pass for not loving that scene. But I have to say that was the highlight of the whole episode for
it. The
me.
uniforms look great. The ship looks great. You know, I think the Discovery is such a beautiful show. You know,
Yeah.
the ships always look fabulous to me.
I had a real problem with Star Trek Discovery when it started. I just like it was not what I expected visually at all. Like I think like up until then all I'd seen were like kind of fan made reproductions of the original series or even the Next Generation or whatnot. And like, Axanar was a big deal and visually it was the best thing I'd seen in terms of recreating
Hmm.
um the original series. And if anyone, whoever doesn't know what Axanar is, go check it out. It's there's a lot of controversy behind it, but the for what it is, it's beautifully rendered and like it's very faithful. And then I started seeing Star Trek Continues, and again another beautifully rendered, very faithful to the original series Star Trek. So I love those. And when I saw Star Trek Discovery, I was just like,
Hmm.
like bullshit. Like this doesn't look,
The
that's like my main.
Klingons and
Well, yeah, everything. It's my main gripe with Star Trek Discovery. Like I actually do love the writing. I actually like the stories. I know it gets a little melodramatic, as you pointed out, but I still love it. I know it's a little CW, but that's like modern.
Mhm.
Like there's like everything has a component of that. Even Game of Thrones like
Yeah,
has melodrama in it. And so I don't mind. I don't mind melodrama.
I
I'm a
don't
big
watch
fan
Game of
of
Thrones.
I'm a big fan of Almodovar, but like for me, like I was just not happy overall. Seeing the Enterprise tonight was just like a magical experience because it was updated with so much love, and like it looks like there's I'm of two minds. And like in the previous episode, Laurel says you of all people should know that two truths can
Mhm.
exist, right? And so you have the one truth, which is TOS, and you have this other truth, which is Star Trek Discovery. And like you can't help, there's arguments about like like Star Trek shouldn't look like TOS. Like technically, I hope we didn't lose PJ. PJ, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, cool. Probably a bathroom break. No, just kidding. But anyways, the Enterprise, in my opinion, was treated with such great reverence. And like, I mean, just like what PJ said in the summary, like they nailed it. Like even the handles in the turbo lift, and like there's no explanation for why the Enterprise is so different from the Discovery, but
Mhm.
I don't care. I think that like the fact that they like paid so much attention to and respect to the original series, like it didn't feel wrong in any way at all. It just felt like this is what the Enterprise bridge would look like in the
Yeah.
Discovery universe, and I was just like in love and happy and pleased. And like as someone who like you know I like have like really high standards for these things, and like I was just like very impressed, and I have to tip my hat and tap my communicator badge here to the production people because it was great. It was perfect.
Yeah. I totally agree. The Enterprise looked great.
PJ,
Hello.
welcome back.
How's it going?
Did you hear any of my loving on the Enterprise bridge stuff or the Enterprise stuff?
Yeah, some of it. I assumed you liked it.
Loved,
And
loved,
loved everything
loved.
about it.
Like I would love to if I had like a lot of money, I would like buy some kind of home where I could just recreate that bridge. Like I just recreate that bridge in my home, and like that's where I would hang out. That's where I would record this show from now on. Actually, like,
Oh, dude, I love the idea.
It's as faithful as they can be within the Discovery verse. So
yes,
if they made it look too different, the people who that Discovery's their first show won't get it. That's why I think they're gradually changing the Klingons and not just doing it like suddenly. Like Tanavik in the last episode is the most subtle looking Discovery Klingon yet. So they're easing into canon or continuity, I should say.
You know, I am a person who thinks that in 2018 and 2019 that they had to change the look of the Klingons from the 90s. You know, I have seen articles, I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but I have seen articles where some people think that Klingons from, you know, the 90s are people who are wearing blackface. You know, so no, I mean, you know, because they have on dark, you know,
it's like they all had one complexion. You're right. That's true.
So in the days of, you know, Me Too and, you know, just people's, you know, reactions to, you know, things that are happening, you know, I don't think that they could, you know, put actors of many races and simply just brown makeup and long hair and it would be okay. I think that would be controversial in itself in 2018 and 19. So
I never even thought about that.
So I think that they had to go to another place with Klingons and try to make them look really, truly alien with like prosthetics and stuff.
I always that's an interesting point because I've always thought like it is odd that like planets are so like uniform. The Earth is so diverse in terms of like how humans look, right? Like we all look so different, right? But like, why do the Klingons all look the same? Why do the Vulcans all look the same until Tuvok came along, you know, like or whatever, right? But like for the most part, like you're absolutely right. Like most aliens in Star Trek were just flat out like they just looked one way. You know, why are all Andorians blue? I kind of like they suggest that like Andorians have 4 genders, which is kind of interesting. Like that never existed before. So I do have to say that, yeah, I agree. That is a cool kudos to Star Trek Discovery for like diversifying the rest of, you know, the rest of the aliens. Yeah, that's a good point. What were we going to say more about the Enterprise? Like, sorry, I'm just obsessed with the Enterprise.
You're okay. Can you hear me? Because people are cutting in and out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, but you sound fine, by the way.
Okay, cool.
We'll all talk a little bit slower.
What did you think about that speech that Pike gave before he left? He's like, "You're the best crew I've ever worked with." Like, screw the other crew of it, and the Enterprise.
He didn't say that. That's not what he said. That's totally
like screw those guys. No.
Oh, something that I did not like about the show: not enough Spock this episode. You know, I think that Ethan Peck is so good at Spock. You know, yeah, I've definitely wanted more Spock this episode.
I think that the parting is such sweet sorrow title like was probably a reference to that whole moment. I mean, we had Pike on the whole season. Like it seems pretty obvious to me that he's not coming back next season. I mean, there was the whole thing with the tweets that like Anson Mount and Ethan Peck, you know, where they were like, we're unemployed because like they're only going to be here for this season. I guess like the speech for Pike, I don't know if you're being serious, PJ, but I don't agree that he was saying that the crew is better than
Oh
the
no,
Enterprise
I was
crew.
joking about that.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I
'Cause,
found it.
like,
I found it nice that he said all those kind. He like singled everybody out. He's like,
every single person, yeah.
yeah. He's like
Captain
giving them
Pike
all
is
respect.
thoughtful and kind and gracious and brave. Captain Pike is just just
He
the best.
he's Star Trek. I also thought it was a cool bookend because you had in Brother, he goes around like getting to know that he's like your ranks don't matter. I just want to know who you are. So everyone kind of sounds off their names. And now he like actually went one by one and like talked, like named the same people basically. I like that he like pointed out that Lieutenant Nilsson or whatever her rank is, like replacing Arium. I really enjoyed that. Like I thought that um so you had mentioned in the summary that he might have been like kind of suggesting that Burnham should be the captain, but obviously Saru is going to be.
No, Pike wasn't suggesting that. Saru was reluctant, and he goes, "Well, we'll hold off on that." And he looks at Burnham.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
I didn't catch that either.
What did you think of that vision where Leland executes everyone on the bridge? Like, do you think that? Well, that's not going to happen. But he's definitely going to go there at some point, don't you think? During this battle.
So I'm like really okay. So here's
his main objective is to get on that ship and take that crystal, isn't it?
Well, no, he doesn't want the crystal. He wants
he wants the ship.
The AI. He wants the data, the other data, the sphere
but
data, right?
He wants to kill everybody and just take the ship. The ship itself is
he no longer. He needs a ship or he needs the sphere data. I don't. So like okay.
He can't take the sphere data. He needs the actual entire ship itself.
Right, because the sphere data is protecting himself, right?
So that massacre that we saw, that was on the bridge of the Enterprise. Correct?
No, that was the Discovery
bridge.
So like okay, so Burnham touches
all of the vision. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So in the previous episode, Pike touches the time crystal, sees a vision. Tanavik says if you take the crystal, the vision is set in stone, like it, so to speak, like it's gonna happen no matter what. So we see like him in the wheelchair, etc., etc. So that's Pike's fate, right? But apparently the crystal has the property of showing you the future anyways, because Burnham touches it and she sees like a possible future. Excuse me, I don't think it's going to happen, but that was a possible future. I think whatever the crystal, it's unclear. I don't think it's clear yet what the properties of the crystal are, but like obviously Burnham is changing that future because you're right. She's, first of all, in that scene, she's in her uniform. So it implies that she never decided to time travel. So like it seems to me like she's actually, unlike Pike, she's choosing to change the future.
Yeah, well, so the thing about the fact that Burnham and Jet Reno touched it and saw pretty much the exact same thing, except Burnham saw a little bit more, says that from that point, that future is set, but the fact that two of them have seen it now means they can change it. The whole idea about taking the crystal and your future is set, like what Pike did, that's only in actually taking it. Like now anybody can touch it and see a possible future, and it might mess with them down the line. You know what I mean? Like Burnham had a kind of an aftershock vision. Yeah, so who knows?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know though. I think obviously next week we'll find out, but I think that there will be. Okay, so here's what I want to know. In Calypso, the Discovery is all by itself, and the AI says that my orders are to remain here until the crew returns, right? So now we know there was a crew on Discovery, right? Where do they all go? Do they all go to Terra Elysium? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what's the deal in the next episode?
Man, that Calypso episode may not have anything to do with this now, because I was thinking that could be the case, but the in Calypso, it's been stuck. It hasn't traveled through time. It's just stayed there for, what was it, 900 years, 1,000 years or something. I don't know how
I think
long.
that is what they said, right? So do you think the Discovery doesn't travel like too far? Okay, so Bert in the did you see the trailer for the next episode, guys? Did you guys see the
No,
like the little?
no.
You didn't see it. Okay, so Burnham definitely puts on the suit and
Oh,
like a
okay.
like a time. It looks different from like what we've seen. It's like it looks more like a black hole, like
Hmm.
an event horizon, and she's gonna go through it. So we know that she's gonna take the Discovery. I feel like we know she's gonna take the Discovery through, and even without like a preview of next week's episode, like that's I feel like that's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like because it has to go through. But who knows? I That's what I love about this season of Star Trek series. I have no idea what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
So
it's totally it's totally unpredictable.
just to hit rewind for a little bit. You were talking about Captain Pike. So what has Anson Mount been in besides lately, besides like that TV show that wasn't very good on ABC, kind of about
What TV show?
superheroes. It was about
Inhumans.
superheroes. Yeah, Inhumans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
But is he
Trek on the
that
Tube
busy
hates that show.
and do another season of Star Trek? Because he's so good as Captain Pike.
He was in Hell on Wheels before Inhumans too. That's a very good show.
Mm, mm.
Have you seen
There's
how
a
I haven't seen it.
petition. There's a petition going around to get Anson Mount his own show.
Oh my God, that's
Guys,
what an Enterprise.
they built like this beautiful bridge. I have a really strong
I
feeling.
can't believe they did that. Like I never thought
Like
they
no,
would
but
do it.
that to me suggests that like the fact that they put that investment in is like if we don't get a full show, we're gonna get something. Like like the
I have
Enterprise is like
Can I say my
what do you-
theory about that?
yeah,
I
I'd
don't
love to.
think you haven't heard an announcement about a show, right?
No, nothing.
Because they've got so much on their plate now. But I wouldn't doubt. Okay, this is a fact. CBS All Access has the right to make a Star Trek movie. Now, you'd say like,
Oh.
well, no. Paramount has that right. Only if it's exclusive to streaming. CBS All Access can make a Star Trek
Ah.
movie as long as they never release it in a theater. So,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
Isn't that interesting
Oh.
that they built that set? Maybe they
It's
might
beautiful.
maybe they might do a 2-hour movie and have that as kind of like the pilot. You know what, like they used to do back in the 80s and stuff.
Mhm.
Like the pilot for a TV show was like this actual like
Right.
TV movie, and then it spun off into a series. So that could be a possibility, I think.
Mhm.
Controversial question. Would you trade Star Trek Discovery for an Enterprise Captain Pike TV show? Like a new series?
Yes, I
In a
would.
heartbeat, yeah.
Yes, also.
Captain Pike and Spock are so good.
No, they've really nailed it. I feel like it's really good. Yeah. And then like I don't know if you guys I know PJ saw it, but Braxton, did you see the leaked image of Spock without the beard and everything like in
Oh
in
yeah,
like full
like
character?
clean shaven and wearing the
Yeah, like Ethan Peck looks just like Spock. Like it's like I think he looks more like Spock than Zachary Quinto does.
I think that Zachary Quinto, however you pronounce it, has a more unusual looking appearance. In the same way that Leonard Nimoy does. I feel like Ethan Peck is just kind of like very standard handsome. I feel like he doesn't like he doesn't have any peculiar.
I've never heard standard handsome before. I love that. It's like, you're standard handsome. You're not you're like that doesn't cut it anymore.
I mean, he's very, very handsome, but just like handsome in very standard. Like,
I get it. No, I totally get it. Yeah.
yeah, like Leonard Nimoy and Zach Quinto kind of like have like unusual looking eyes.
Like exotic, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Oh,
Good
also,
point.
you were talking about bridges. Something that I really liked in the show that I forgot was when they were evacuating the Discovery. The tunnels that they like put out, and then put like the stasis field around them, the blue stasis field around them, so like people could move in between the ships. I thought those were really cool.
I thought that was cool too, but it's like I didn't know that ever existed. like I've never like in the next generation they don't have anything like that. Like it's like why how did these like cool like compactable technologies exist like in TOS era that don't exist in the next generation? So those are things that I'm back in the nitpick corner.
I mean, we've seen so much nanotech in the Marvel universe that now like nanotech is just like everywhere.
So there's a scene in the episode where Giorgio, she's beaming Pike and Ash off the ship to the Enterprise, and she says, "By the way, I'm from the mirror universe," and Pike kind of winks at her like, "What mirror universe, right?" What do you think? There's like something more to that, or was he just being like cheeky, like saying like, "I already knew you were from the mirror universe"?
I think he'd figured that out like 5 episodes ago. They just never acknowledged it. He was just like, obviously she's not the same woman.
He's like, there's something not right about her. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, something up. And maybe they had a deleted scene where Burnham says something to Pike.
He read some classified files.
Yeah.
It's true. It makes sense. Yes.
But she doesn't even know, does she?
Who?
The Admiral.
No, Admiral Cornwall definitely knows because last season, remember Burnham introduced her to Admiral Cornwall.
Oh, right.
But yeah, she definitely knows. I don't know, guys. Like I still have this weird sense that Star Trek Discovery takes place in another universe. I mean, like as much as I'm okay with it being in the prime, whatever the prime timeline is, like PJ shaking his head. He's like, "Fucking stop already."
There's a cool theory going around that kind of makes sense when Burnham will guide Discovery through the black hole. Is it a black hole or wormhole?
Wormhole, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because black hole's a different thing, like that in the Talos episode.
Although totally relevant, we have taken a photograph, the first image of a black hole that happened this week.
Mm-hmm.
So Burnham takes them through the wormhole, and they somehow end up exactly smack dab in Picard's time. And then Discovery, going forward, the ship will have its adventures in the 25th century, like the dawn of the 25th century, like 2400. So the
crew, you're talking about the crew that goes through is Burnham, Stamets, Saru, Reno.
That way they get all the cast to continue on in the new timeline. And it doesn't alter anything. It actually it prevents Control from eliminating all life, sentient life. And on top of that, if everything's set right, they're going to a future that is also canon. Prime.
That's a really bold move. So you're saying they'll actually depart from TOS era and end up in the,
because they're hinting at that, like the actors and the people behind the show. They're saying like it's gonna blow your mind. Like you won't believe what's gonna happen. They're bracing us for something crazy good. And because the Picard show is the next show,
holy shit,
they can do crossover between what Discovery's doing in Picard's time and what Picard is doing potentially. No, I don't think they're gonna, but it'll end up like Picard will be in its time.
It does say that the suit can only go one way. Like none of these guys can come back.
They
can't come back.
Mm-hmm.
The time crystal will burn out. So
where did you hear? That's a good theory. That's a really good theory. I'm like into it.
I've expanded. I've only heard that, like, the theory is just they'll end up in the future, possibly around Picard's era, like timeline, and I think that would be the best thing to do. Wouldn't that be so interesting to have season 3? Wouldn't that have so many people just gravitate toward the show who haven't like considered it because it's a prequel and they don't like prequels? But now you have the prequel guys
totally,
in the modern
totally,
Trek times.
No, I'm totally that guy. But at the same time, I know I was like one of those I hate prequel guys, but like I totally would accept an Enterprise. So okay, so you have Discovery go off to the Picard timeline. That's fine, right? So you have these two shows that are concurrent, and then give us Pike Spock
to replace the prequel show.
Right,
to make that the new prequel show.
Yes, 100%. Oh my god, I'm just
that's too good to be true, though. Man. They don't do that.
Oh, I love that idea. I love that idea.
Folks, you've heard it here first. It's the wildest idea. I don't know. It's a really fascinating thing to think about.
It is.
Wow.
I think that just being on Twitter, I think that the Star Trek community has embraced the new Spock and Captain Pike so much. I think that CBS, they would have to be fools to not understand that there is a lot of desire amongst fans to see these guys. I mean, I have to think that they have to have creative people thinking okay, what can we do with these actors? I have to think that they have to be doing that.
And so few people are talking about Section 31. Nobody cares about it.
Nobody.
I know there's a small group who are like, yeah, Giorgio. But everybody's talking about a Pike series. And even the angry people who don't like Discovery, like Pike.
They're all like,
and Spock. I can't
Captain
believe
Pike.
it. Like people who utterly hate the show and watch it, they're like, oh, but Pike's good. Yeah, Spock's not bad.
Yeah.
What do you guys think it is about Captain Pike that resonates with so many people? What do you think it is about that character that is it the actor? I'm sorry, I threw up a picture of the bridge because I had to. I'm so obsessed with it.
It's amazing.
I think part of the appeal is the all-American Boy Scout type of hero, very old-fashioned, but at the same time, he's very willing to listen to anybody. He's not a dominant captain. He's not a prick in any way. So
he's not dominant. He's also
very,
not a pushover by any means.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's able to be very sensitive to the needs of his crew, but not let people walk all over him unless it's Michael Burnham sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, he is just a great leader. As you have watched the Star Trek shows all these years, he just symbolizes just the best of what Starfleet is. He's kind, he's courageous, he's brave, he's smart, he's amazingly handsome. Captain Pike
is amazingly handsome is not a prerequisite of being a Starfleet captain. I'm sorry. I mean, it happens to happen, but I think those qualities make him handsome. You're right.
You know what you should do?
I love that.
look up an image of Jeffrey Hunter as Jesus, right? And compare it to an image of Anson Mount as Bohannon from Hell on Wheels. They look more like
Bohannon.
Colin Bohannon.
I love that name, Bohannon.
Colin Bohannon.
Yeah,
I might have to start watching Hell on Wheels.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that now, but
whoa! By the way, Anson Mount whoa! This is really crazy. Okay, I'm gonna show my screen again because. Good. I never even knew Jeffrey Hunter played Jesus, first of all. By the way, I disagree with the blonde, blue-eyed Jesus. Jesus was actually more like myself, brown.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show this anyways. Just say. Here we go. All right. So there's Jeffrey Hunter as Jesus. That is why, that's Captain Pike, and that is, you're right. So now let's look at Anson Mount as, would you say, Bohannon?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you spell? Okay, Colin Bohannon. There it is. Oh yeah, totally the same thing. I mean, the casting was really great. I think that Anson Mount does look a lot like Jeffrey. Here's a great. I think more than the Jesus thing, like Anson Mount definitely looks like Jeffrey Hunter.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, Anson Mount look, I still have the bridge. I'm so obsessed.
That looks so nice.
It's
Is
so
that a
nice.
body double
Where?
for number one, do you think, or do you think Rebecca Romijn is actually that skinny? I mean, she possibly is.
Wait, show that image again.
Oh yeah. I think she's thin, but they're using a wide angle. I know a little one or two things about photography. They're using a wide angle lens, and in a wide angle, usually with like it's probably like a 16 millimeter,
Because gosh, she looks
possibly.
Oh wait,
wider.
wait.
Yeah.
Zoom in. I don't want to like objectify her. Just zoom in a bit because that looks
Oh
weird.
my goodness,
That looks really
Hold
weird.
on, let's see.
like that.
All right. So this is an effect of the. I believe this is the effect of the lens. So anything in the center gets squashed a little bit. Anything on the edges gets like.
No, that
stretched a
looks
little bit.
unnatural. That looks like completely unnatural.
I don't want to get into it, but what I do want to get into
She looks
is
fine, like the way she is. I'm not criticizing Rebecca Romijn at all. I mean,
That
God,
shot just looks weird to me.
that shot looks weird of her.
Like that's like a
Like
man.
the woman over on that side looks normal, and she looks like a man with a small waist
And a muscular back.
and a muscular back.
maybe it's her stand-in. Who
It
knows?
is her stand-in. It is.
And why?
But did you notice the communications officer had the little earpiece?
Yeah.
That was cool.
The woman with the green bumpy face.
I have one nitpick about the bridge.
Okay.
This show has an obsession with having light sources in so many weird. Like Star Trek has done that, but over the years, like they've all had like subtle light sources. The light sources in all these shots are like too strong and they're too glary.
They're very
and if they just turn those down a bit, that would be nice.
It would be nice,
but it looks good nonetheless. So
I think it's like I think it's a modern aesthetic, right? Like pretty much the J.J. Abrams influence, and I know that.
But just imagine walking down corridors where there's lights on corners just shining in your eyes, like everywhere you turn.
that don't do anything.
It's not practical.
It's true. What did you guys think of like so we actually got to see the Enterprise in some pretty great detail in this episode, and I know that's more I'm sure we'll see a video from the folks at Trek Yards, and I don't want to dive too deeply into like the minutia of it, but overall impressions of the Enterprise, what did you guys think? Like, how do you feel about it, like now that you've actually seen her in action?
I love the uniforms. I thought that the CG modeling of the ship looked great. When they were in the turbo lift, like the little handles and things, I was like, ooh, like that's different. Because I didn't really watch TOS, so like,
Right.
The handles. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting.
Braxton, after my Next Generation discussions are over, we're going to TOS. You're gonna have to start watching it, and that's an order.
It's such a relic of the past. I don't necessarily appreciate like terribly old things that aren't.
Oh, you're so in for you're so in for a lesson, because I'm telling you, like I understand where you're coming from. Like I have a really hard time watch. There's so many. My father was like, "You got to watch this movie," and then I find out it's in black and white. It's like 100 years old or whatever, right? And I'm like, and then I sit down finally and like, okay, fine. I have like 2 hours, whatever, and I'll watch these movies, and I'm like blown away all the time, consistently blown away at like the knowledge you can get and like the experience and like the lessons you can learn from these old things. So I am your challenge accepted.
Okay. Hilarious.
But I'm glad you're impressed. I thought that personally, I thought the updates were awesome. Like if I'm going to the nitpick corner, there's like a lot of things I can talk about, but overall I think the spirit of the Enterprise was captured. What do you think?
Would you nitpick the bridge or something about the ship?
I just think the pylon shouldn't go back. Like things like that. Like the nacelles are too big. Like like there's just like these little things. But again, overall, the spirit of it was like spot on. Like my design choices are not significant. Like I feel like the talented people that brought this to bear have done an excellent job, and it's, you know, you got to put your own stamp on it, and like some people argue that it has to be different because of legal reasons. I don't know, but regardless, I think the spirit was there. Like I think they captured it. What do you think, PJ?
Well, there are no legal reasons why.
Right,
They can't use the exact designs.
Right,
but see, the thing that their mandate has always been, we can go a little off kilter because it is 10 years before TOS, and everybody says, well, the Enterprise doesn't look like TOS, or this doesn't look like TOS, and the showrunners kind of like nicely remind people it's not TOS yet. They've reimagined the Cage era as we saw it significantly. Obviously, they're not going to have paper printing out on the bridge and all this. And
that's right. I forgot about that.
So the fact that
you never know, they might put a scene in where paper.
So the fact that the bridge doesn't look exactly the same and the pylons aren't exactly the same, there's a good few years for them to actually get there. So
it's true. And actually, quite frankly, like. On one level, I don't really care.
But if my theory is true, or the theory that's going around, then the following seasons won't even take place in that time. But if we get a Pike series, that could evolve into more TOS type of stuff, and they could deal with everything that Discovery didn't.
I almost don't even like. There's like this part of me that's just like, all right, I mean, like this is today, right? Like TOS, like there's the undeniable fact that like it's a show that was produced in the 60s, and like they just couldn't have envisioned what we can today. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying like evolve into a 60s look,
right?
And have like women in short skirts, because that's over with. Like that's never going to come back. It
might come back. Mini skirts came back once.
Unless it's a choice. It's a choice of the actor. Say, like if a female actor is in a show, and they say, "What kind of type of uniform do you want to wear in the show?" She's like mini skirt, like Deanna Troi. She made one acting captain there feel very uncomfortable with her onesie, right? So like people have a choice to wear certain things
what
in the
they
future.
Want to,
and having it being a Me Too and all this, it's the way you address it. If it was a mandate that all women in a TOS era show have to have mini skirts, despite like an actress objecting, then there's a problem. But it's all a matter of choice.
There's no doubt that there are antiquated ideas in the original series that just need to.
A woman couldn't be a captain back then. They had the death penalty. So.
What?
And back in the TOS, a woman wasn't allowed to be a captain. There was a death penalty if you went to Talos, say, like that was.
No, yeah, you're right. No. Okay,
these are antiquated.
If a woman captained a ship, she would be like there was a death penalty. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, I was like, what?
It's like if you take command, you're dead. It's like no.
No. But in that, it's like the Cage actually, like, to go from a historical perspective, like the reason why that pilot didn't work is because it was way too much for audiences and executives to handle. Like they were like, "What do you mean? Like the second in command is a woman? Like why? No. Like, not happen." Like so yeah, 100% agree that like I look at TOS as like, first of all, there's like, you can't just like dismiss the show just because it's antiquated, right? In some ways, there are beautiful concepts that come from it, but you're 100% right. There are things that are also just like, we need to lose that. Like we need to like, there's a historical context, like, oh yeah, like that was what people thought was acceptable back then, and it's not anymore. And actually, it's kind of like inspiring because like it shows that humanity's evolved in 50 years. How far we've come, like if you look at Star Trek today versus Star Trek then, like in that sense, Discovery is like awesome because it's like such an evolution from like what Star Trek was.
I mean, even Star Trek from the early 2000s is different. You think about some of that trash that you saw on Enterprise, I don't know, like so I feel like on Enterprise like some of the scenes with women are
Right,
problematic
they were
now.
trying to explain, right? Yeah.
The way that they sell sex with T'Pol and sometimes Yoshi, like that makes me feel really, really
They did that with the guys too sometimes.
Oh, you're right. There was a lot of guys in boxers, the little blue boxers.
Like Mayweather and all these guys going around, like you can see their junk. I mean,
What?
you could like.
You can see Mayweather's junk. I have to rewatch Enterprise. What are you?
No, but
what are you talking about?
No, but they have these scenes where like both men and women are like greasing themselves up, and they're showing like close-ups of their legs and their ass and all this shit. So
I love that. Sorry.
in the pilot, they go to a strip club and like half naked chicks are eating flies. Like, remember that?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
And there's a subtle difference between seeing someone's junk and seeing a bulge. Like a bulge is a you don't see shapes and things.
I think there have been bulges in Star Trek before. There have been bulges in Star Trek before.
PG-13 on Starfleet Boy, Drug Space Nine rated NC-17. We can go.
Can I just make one more point about Enterprise?
Yes. I love
the Mirror Universe episodes. Those were kind of sexist, I think.
It's true, but
they use women like in the Mirror Universe back in the day. Women were just like objects that, like the men would throw around, but the women would always be stabbing them in the back anyway. So,
I think it's really exciting to see that like Star Trek Discovery is kind of like I think it's just exciting that it's pushing everyone. Like whether you love it, whether you hate it, it's just like what you said earlier, PJ. Like totally resonates with me. It's like the haters are still watching. Like they're still watching it. Like they're not like they're hating on it, but they're still watching it. So that says something,
They're not. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say like they're hating, but at least I don't like that they're like some people are just full of vile bullshit, and they actually like piss all over people who like the show. That's what I don't like. But at least some of them acknowledge that there are good elements. They're just not completely blinded. Some people, not all of them, but Pike and Spock are the ones that are kind of getting people into the show now who either didn't like it before or didn't watch it before. So that's good.
It's fascinating.
I have no idea how people who hate the show as much as they do can watch it from week to week. It's hilarious. Like, why?
Because complaining about it is their bread and butter.
Which gives me the cue to say, hey guys, check out Ketwalski's channel because he's doing some pretty cool stuff about like kind of revealing like certain. I don't follow Midnight. Is it Midnight's Edge? Right?
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of episodes of Doomcock, and I was like, "Fuck that shit." And so, like, this here, what we're doing right now is more interesting to me, and like, like just talk about Star Trek. Like, don't get into all the bullshit, like, whatever. So, like, but I think Walski's doing a great job of like kind of educating people into like what like essentially is like clickbait and like people. It's true. What you just said nailed it, PJ. It's like some people you manipulate audiences to get more money or views or whatever, which essentially is like their bread and butter. So,
but and the audience that they have aren't victims in any way. I mean, if they choose to watch it, that's their decision. And I don't hate people who spread bullshit. Because I'm smart enough to know what's real and what's not. Like this idea that Secret Hideout is a secret subsidiary of Bad Robot and Paramount Pictures when none has anything to do with the other. So and Ketwalski points that stuff out. You know what I mean? That's what I like about him.
It's really great. He's doing good stuff.
And he does it in a way where he doesn't go on the attack. He just simply points out the facts.
Yep. Totally agree.
Oh, speaking of Ketwalski, he says, so I just watched it now. I'm reading this at the same time as you guys. He just messaged me. And this being my first go through the episode, he gives it a 3 out of 10. But I will be rewatching this at least 2 more times before I even start writing my review. So he's super hypercritical, which I love. I'm the opposite.
Hated all the
So
drama.
yeah, so awesome. He's gonna like probably talk about this. I'm not gonna read the rest of his message, but you guys will see what he has to say about it. I wanted to ask you, did you expect like the tie-in to Runaway, and what did you think of like Queen Poe and all that stuff, like with Tilly and everything? Like, what did you think of all that?
That was pretty cool. I like that. And she's funny. I actually got a good few laughs out of her, especially when she says to Giorgio, part of being queen is that I don't have to take any like crap from people. Or,
yeah.
Yeah. That was funny. And she hands Giorgio the ice cream bowl. And Giorgio's like, get this thing away from me. It's full of goo.
What about Giorgio? So like, okay, earlier you said like no one's talking about Section 31. So what do you think's gonna happen? Like, is it gonna actually launch? Like, what's gonna happen with the Section 31 show? I love Michelle Yeoh. I'm happy for her to be in Star Trek. I know a lot of people are like she's not that great or whatever, but you know, I don't know. You're right. We haven't heard a peep out of any of CBS about Section 31.
You know, it's gonna be really interesting. Like, so I feel like they were talking about, you know, when Discovery is following Michael Burnham through this time vortex or whatever, that things in its wake will be destroyed. Whatever, like Captain Pike says, like whatever is like in its wake or something is going to be destroyed. I think that's how the Section 31 ships are going to ultimately be destroyed. Possibly, maybe that's how they lose people.
Actually, Pike says whatever's in its wake will be pulled into the future.
Okay.
So it has to be at a distance from other objects, or else.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
But I think the Enterprise and Discovery, I don't know how they're gonna destroy all those ships. I mean, that's gonna be a task.
Well, there's this scene that they kept repeating where there's an undetonated torpedo.
Didn't you say something earlier about how like maybe the Klingons will swoop in with like a fleet of D7s?
That's what
and help them out.
Yeah,
that would be the ultimate. That would be the ultimate solution right there.
Yeah, I did say that on my tweet. I had a tweet about the finale.
Oh wow!
So yeah, like it's like a mega. It's like one of those thread tweets. I'll pull it up here. But yeah, I'm hoping for like why wouldn't they? Like L'Rell. So okay.
Oh! I just figured something else out. Sorry.
Shazad says he beams up to the air because he stays behind because he's like, there's something I have to take care of.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's it. He's going to get help from the Klingons.
Oh.
They better play that theme. They got to play that theme.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
it won't happen.
No, it's gonna happen. That's what it is. Come on, audience, we predicted it here first. No, we didn't. We're not the first on anything, but whatever. There are think tanks that think about Star Trek way more than we do. So but I really do think that there is evidence for that. Like the fact that Shazad, I just call him Shazad. Tyler Vogt stays behind. Like he says, there's something I have to take care of. He's totally gonna call in a favor. 100%. There's gonna be a fleet. Oh my god, of D7s. That's gonna be so great. It's gonna be so great.
Awesome.
All right. So are there any? Let me look at my notes. So Reno coming back in this episode, like, so she's part of the crew that's going to go into the future. Like, if your idea is correct, that means Reno's going to be a part of Discovery moving forward into season 3, which I'm very happy about. But Culber is not. He's going to go on to the Enterprise. That's what he said in that scene, right?
Yeah, that's what he says.
A lot of people are invested.
That's why parting is such sweet sorrow.
Sweet sorrow. So a lot. So, guys, it's not going to be resolved next episode, right? Do you think this is going to definitely be carried into season 3? What do you think?
Definitely.
What's going to be carried into season 3?
The whole story. Like, I mean,
no. This is going to end big.
You think
this is going to change? They're saying this finale is going to be a huge game changer, and they keep using that word. And I'm like, You're hyping people up for something, and it better be fucking good.
I mean, nothing happens in this episode, but it was awesome. So I can only imagine.
It's a great lead up.
Yeah, it's a great lead up. It was like ultra hype, right?
It's total build up, just like story building, emotion building for everything that's going to happen, next week. Yeah, I don't think you're right. Very much not very much happened in this episode. The only thing
it was exciting. For nothing happening, it was exciting as fuck. It was like really great. It was really good. Did you guys notice, or is it just me, that the episode felt crispier? Like the lighting felt more motion picture like. Like there was a difference in this episode, right? Like than the usual.
Really?
I felt that. I don't know.
There are two or three directors that film their episodes very cinematically, and they don't use a hell of a lot of light flare. They use a lot of like crazy angles and stuff. The guy who directed this one, I won't even attempt to pronounce his name. He's one of the producers. It begins with O.
Oh, he directed the first episode of
the African guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he directed. He directed Point of Light.
He's actually British, just FYI.
Oh, I'm sorry, but he has an African
name. He directed Point of Light.
Hold on.
He directed Point of Light, and he directed one last season. And like Jonathan Frakes, whenever he directs an episode, it's also filmed very well.
Osunsami.
Right. Yeah.
Osunsami.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah, you're right. It was his style, actually. You're right.
He's a great visual director, like Frakes, and there's another one. I think it's Hanel Culpepper.
They both directed this episode?
No, I'm talking about directors with great visual style who don't excessively
go crazy with the right. Okay, gotcha. He did. So just to run through his Star Trek Discovery credits. Oh wait, hold on. Damn it. I'm so bad at the internet.
Didn't he do one with Takuvma?
Yeah. So he did it says here that he did episode number 2 of 2019. Such Sweet Sorrow, this episode, Point of Light, What's Past His Prologue, and The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry. What was the first episode?
He didn't direct episode 2 of season 2.
No.
That was Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, you're right. What does this say here? Hold on. Let me go back to. He did
Star Trek Discovery.
It says episode number 2.14. What does that mean? Oh, season 2, episode 14. Duh. Okay. Well, no, there is no episode 14 yet. That's the next episode, right?
Oh, shit.
Oh, I don't know. I have had a martini, guys, so I'm a little turnt here, so I don't know if I'm reading things right. But
he directed The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry.
I just said that.
Listen. Jonathan Frakes directed Despite Yourself, and then Hanel and Culpepper directed Vaulting Ambition. These are all good episodes. And Olantun Osa, that guy, he directed What's Past His Prologue. And he also directed episode 3 and 14.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be the next.
And he's also a producer, so.
So Sweet Sorrow, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He was also on the now retired episodes of After Trek. I believe he came on an episode. He was pretty cool.
And where's the After Trek preview for the next one, the animated one that's supposed to come out at the end of the month, apparently?
Wait, what?
I guess they changed plans on that because originally they said there was an animated short trek after the season ends.
Oh, wow.
But they haven't said anything about it for a long time.
That sounds interesting.
Apparently it's been produced and it's ready to go, I guess, but they just haven't shown anybody unless they abandoned it and just haven't told anybody.
I mean, modern television's so weird, right? Like it's crazy, and it's a streaming show, so you could do whatever you want. It's an interesting time. Like, I don't know. I think that the only thing else I have in my notes is we talked about the enterprising, we talked about the parting speech. They're all going to the future. We talked about that. Spock is going with them. So to me, it's kind of anticlimactic because if Spock's going with them, there's no danger. He's got.
I don't
How's
think
he gonna get back?
I don't think he is, because remember we see he's got to be in that uniform by the end, right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like, how do we know? Like, how does it resolve? Like, that's gonna be an interesting thing.
It's so hard to tell, isn't it? It's so fucking hard to tell.
Yeah,
they've been doing a good job this season at like keeping people just guessing and never getting it right. It was so easy to predict things last season.
Last season,
like
it's true.
Lorca and all this stuff, and what was the other thing? It was Lorca and there was another Tyler Vox.
Yeah,
everybody knew about that episodes before they ever did the reveals.
That's true.
And this is the first time we're ever like really not sure
what's going to
happen next. So that's
cool. All right. So go ahead.
Crazy stuff, dude.
It's true. It's true. I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I know it's true. All right, Braxton, we're gonna start with you. Let's go to closing thoughts, predictions for the next episode, and ratings for this episode. So we're on a 1 to 10 scale, as you know. Yeah. So go ahead. Closing thoughts, predictions for the next episode, and the rating for this episode.
So my closing thoughts. So I probably feel like Kowalski. I feel like nothing really happened in this episode. It was all set up. It was all melodrama. I did enjoy some of Sonequa Martin Green's face acting. You know, like sometimes I think her face acting is like really good.
She's really good. I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah, me too. You know, I did enjoy the Enterprise. You know, I enjoyed you know, Captain Pike. I enjoyed the little goodbye. You know, it's like, you know, everyone stood up as he was like leaving, and then like, you know, you see the shot like with that very handsome face in the elevator, that it closes. You know, it's like, oh, wonderful. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward to what is going to happen next. As far as a rating, you know, I would probably like, to me, this was like a episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed some of the story building. Like, I enjoyed some of the ship shots. I enjoyed the Enterprise, some of the face acting, but I think that nothing actually happened. So it's just kind of a middling for me. It's just kind of a 5.
Wow.
For me.
You're gonna hate me when I give my rating.
You're gonna give it a 10 like you always do.
I always do. Oh, you know me. It's so embarrassing. Anyways, go on.
But no, that's my rating. You know, that's those are just kind of my thoughts. Totally looking forward to next week, though. I'm totally on board.
I do want to say, where did all those? What are all those ships that kept coming out of the Enterprise docking? It's like a lot of little support ships, like all around.
Yeah, number 1 mentions that they had a bunch of all those little ships refitted with like
okay, never mind.
The little phasers and stuff, so they can help defend.
It's gonna be interesting to see the battle next week.
Weaponized shuttlecraft.
Yeah, it's like, what are they, like little? Yeah, it's like little cool ships. All right, PJ, if you wouldn't mind doing the same thing and giving your final impressions, predictions. Wait, you didn't give predictions, Braxton, did you?
Oh, I didn't give a prediction.
No, you didn't give a prediction, and we want to hear your predictions for next week.
You know,
because this is a special episode, it's the finale. So, you gotta give predictions.
I think that one or two things is gonna happen. I think that either somehow Michael Burnham is going to totally like reset the timeline back to what we thought it was before Discovery even happened somehow, or you know, there's going to be like a battle and all this carnage, and then she's going to get like sucked through that hole, and we won't know what happens until season 3. I really hope that it's the first, because I don't want to have to go through a year thinking like, oh, what happened to Michael Burnham? Like, where's Michael Burnham? No. But at the same time, like, I don't really want their story to like be told and then in the end not really matter because none of it ever happened, kind of, you know. So I don't know, I'm torn, you know. I kind of would like, you know, the timeline to be reset to kind of like what I thought it was before Discovery. But, you know, I'm open to new ideas and new world building at the same time. But this show is so crazy. Time travel is so crazy. I have no idea what to expect.
Great point. Yeah. So 5 out of 10. Also, you have no idea what's gonna happen. You're hopeful that like something cool will happen, basically.
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
I love it. No, I think it's great. PJ, I usually well, hold on. So I have to give my rating because no one yeah, whatever. I give this episode a 12.
Highlights.
All right.
Are you serious?
I do give it I give it a 10. I definitely give it a 10. Closing thoughts. Star Trek Discovery is definitely not the show I asked for. It's not the show I would have wanted if I were like, you know, running Star Trek. That's not the show I would have commissioned or like definitely not would, you know, especially season 1. Season 2, especially up until now, I'm hooked. It's surprising to me, but I love it. I'm attached. I've always liked the characters. I've always liked the actors are the highest caliber. Like, it's great actors. And I think it's just like all that is kind of culminating into this thing that's like winning me over. And I'm just like, I just really feel like this is a great Star Trek series for the modern era. I think that, like, you know, any new people who are tuning into Star Trek today, like that have never heard of it or that don't know anything about it, could actually love Star Trek Discovery. Like, I feel like it's a great way to re-energize the Star Trek, what Star Trek's about. And so far the show has went on the points that really count, on the things that really matter. The show does a good job of like being Star Trek, and I have to give my you know, like kudos to that. So I love it. I'm so excited. I think that, like, you know, this episode was great, and like 90% of my attention was just on the Enterprise, and everything from the hallways with the grids to, like, you know, just like the lighting effects. Like, there were just like really great homages or, like, you know, callbacks to the original series. And I'm sorry, guys, I don't know, you know, for those of you who are like super like staunch like TOS fans, but this is a way sexier Enterprise. Like, this is the Enterprise that I would want to build, the original series Enterprise that I would want to build in a house and live in, and like make it my little man cave, woman cave, person cave. Like, you know, like that's what I would want. And I thought that, like, it was a beautiful update / homage to the original. So I love that. Predictions for the next episode. I have no fucking clue what's gonna happen. I really love what PJ presented about like the possibility of like a Picard show tie-in that would like make my head explode. Probably I would just die. Like, I don't know if I could talk in the next episode of Starfleet Boy, but if it doesn't happen, I'm just excited to kind of see what does happen, and I hope I'm not disappointed. And that's all I gotta say. So your turn, PJ. You get to close this out.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode so far, and I'm very stingy with scores, and I'm very critical of the show, and a lot of episodes have just rubbed me the wrong way. Especially episode 6 of this season, which I would give like a 4 out of 10.
Hold on, what happened in that one?
That was the Saru episode, and the Baul.
Right. the Baul.
You can't. I didn't like episode 3 either, even though I like the visual style of it. I just
what was that one?
Point of Light, Klingon Baby.
Oh, you know what? I loved that, dude. When she held up the two hands, dude. Like,
visually it worked, but
she like
I didn't like
the little baby head, dude. Like, oh, I love that. Dude.
But anyway, yeah, this episode is a lot of setup, right? And that's all it is. I'm not saying like I'm basing this score on the fact that it might lead into something really good, but in itself, I bought all the sappy, sentimental stuff, the character moments. I thought it was well written, well directed, and seeing the new Enterprise set and having it not piss me off, which
you were totally surprised about too, because you were like convinced that we weren't going to see it.
No,
right?
I was telling people, I was like, no, they didn't build this. They didn't build this set.
But you're not wrong that there was a set designer who said we didn't do it, right? Like, wasn't there like
Tamara Deverell stated that she didn't have a hand in designing it, and she's the production designer.
Right,
and
which
so
now
I'm
we
thinking
know what that means.
It was probably handed off to somebody else. It was somebody else's complete responsibility that was out of her hands, I guess, maybe, unless she was lying. I don't know. But the fact that they built it and it is bright, except, you know, too many lights in Star Trek. But that's a little nitpick, but it looks good. And it makes you yearn for a series set on the ship. And I like the uniforms, and I like the crew that they show on the ship. So many things about it, and this is one of these episodes I'm going to watch over and over again. So
yeah, 100%.
But I get the fact that it's all set up, and I don't mind that, because I thought every scene had something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is often not the case in the show, man. There's a lot of wasted time I find in some scenes where, like the Red Angel stuff, where her mother's talking about, I watched you growing up, and I revived you with an energy beam. I can travel light years. I can transport people from this quadrant to the other quadrant, and they never explain any of that stuff. That's the stuff that irritates me with the show. But when it's just straight up like character moments and building up to, you know, good action.
Did anyone question that little light being who put that baby in Deanna Troi? No. It's Star Trek magic.
It's true. It's true.
You were like, oh, what is that? What kind of creature is that? How is it doing that? It's like, no, it's like Star Trek magic. You just
how in the last episode, how are the plants growing from seeds to full-grown trees in seconds? Yet Pike is not aging, and you know what I mean? Like the timey-wimey,
I don't know, but
magical stuff.
Doesn't he have grayer hair though? I thought he had grayer hair after that episode. I don't know. Maybe that's my imagination.
He aged 2 years. Yeah,
it was that horrific scream that he let out. Yeah. Terror.
His hair should have been white after that.
So it's true. Are you sticking to your prediction that you quoted earlier from the theory that
going into predictions, there's going to be a big battle between Section 31 ships and the Enterprise and Discovery. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm guessing. No, seriously, I think what's going to happen is Spock is going to have to leave Discovery before they go through the thing, because Spock, if my theory is true that they're going to go to Picard's time, then Spock can't go with them. So something devastating is going to happen to the Enterprise, and they're going to have to. Spock's going to be like, I got to go help my crew, and that's why you see him in his uniform, all clean shaven and all that stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, here I gotta put this on.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a real.
I think that there's going to be like a whole bunch of carnage. That torpedo is going to be in the Enterprise, and then Michael Burnham is going to get sucked through the hole, and then, you know, everything's going to fade to black, and then we'll be like on the Enterprise. Everybody's going to be wearing like the Enterprise looking uniform. Spock's going to be clean shaven, and we'll be like, oh, I guess Michael Burnham just said everything right, and we'll have no idea what happened to her until season 3.
That's true.
I hope they don't end on a cliffhanger.
I think it is going to. I mean, like Star Trek: The Next Generation kind of started that precedence, right? Like,
yeah, but they earned it.
They. All right, cool. All right, well, so what's your rating?
8 out of 10.
Oh,
I've only given one other episode an 8, and that was Project Daedalus.
Daedalus, yeah,
where Arium dies. I love that episode.
Right. Wow.
That is a good episode. That's probably my favorite episode of this season.
So we didn't get a bridge clap in this episode, which is something we got, but we got a bridge salute. So I give you guys a bridge salute where you put your hands behind your back here. Braxton, thank you for joining us tonight. Like, it was awesome, and I hope you will come on future episodes. So I hope you had fun. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
PJ, thank you so much. You bring so much knowledge to Starfleet Boy because I have none. So thank you so much. And I guess we're supposed to figure out the average. So 5 and 8 out of 10. So let's see here.
7.7.
Hey, Siri. Oh, you already calculated it? Wow.
7.66.
Wow.
That's something I don't know.
Wow, you beat Siri. Nicely. Well, I'm impressed. Very nice.
My phone's sitting right here beside me.
Braxton, do you have anything to promote to the audience? Like, is there anything that tell them about your Twitter or any way to follow you, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh yeah, I'm on Twitter at Leviathan 026. I don't really post about much besides Star Trek and interesting Android phones that I'm into. So yeah, feel free to say hey to me on Twitter. I love Star Trek, and I would love to hear from anyone else who does as well. And you guys are awesome. I had a really great time.
We had a great time with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. PJ, tell everyone about your shit.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at PJ's Channel 1. And you can find me on YouTube at Botrek. That's boat, like a boat, and REK.
I love that pun, by the way. When you finally told me, I was like, it's boat wreck. I was like,
yeah, boat wreck.
Amazing. Yeah, it's very cool.
I should start just saying it that way because that's the way I intended it to. And then I just said everybody's like Botrek, like Bowflex.
Well, it can just evolve into that. Why not? So excellent. So yes, excellent. Audience, thank you so much for joining us. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you guys next time.
Next time. Oops.